2024 was one for the record books. It was a year marked by historic elections and worldwide unrest. Folks in more than 60 countries, representing almost 50% of the human race, went to the polls in 2024. Voters in Mexico and the UK, they picked new leaders. Donald Trump was, of course, elected to a second term in the White House. South Korea grappled with a half-baked coup d'etat. And the Russia-Ukraine war entered its third year, and the fighting surrounding the Israel-Hamas war, well, it spread all across the Middle East, sparking protests around the globe. Hurricane Helene ravaged the American Southeast, causing an estimated $200 billion in damage, while the Northeast faced unprecedented wildfires. The murder of CEO Brian Thompson kicked off a national conversation about healthcare access, and Sarah McBride became the first transgender American elected to Congress, the first transgender American ever elected to Congress. And then there's Caitlin Clark. She became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA basketball, and Travis Kelce's Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl while Taylor Swift watched from the stands. So much happened this year. I felt that we should break down some of 2024's biggest moments, the spectacles and the stories that took our breath away. This first one involves, guess who? Yours truly.
You said if they kill the company, it's them. But doesn't the buck stop with you? I mean, you're
Don, I have to say, choose your question carefully. There's 5 minutes left.
okay, but so
Is this the question you want to ask?
the same question is you said that they are killing the company, but you're the head of the company. The buck doesn't stop with you?
I acquired X in order to preserve freedom of speech in America, the First Amendment. And I'm going to stick to that. And if that means making less money, so be it.
So I have to listen, I'm just being honest, right? I'm not trying to get you or anything. I was just surprised that you would blame other people for killing the company. I mean, when you say the buck stops with the president of the United States, regardless of what happens, right? So why would that question upset you? You seem upset by it, are you?
I think you.
And I'm not trying to upset you.
Well, you are upsetting me because the way you're phrasing the questions, I think, is not cogent.
It's not what?
Not cogent.
Cogent.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If given a choice where an advertiser is saying you have to censor all this content on the platform, irrespective of where their advertising appears, then our answer will be look, you can choose where you want your advertising, what you want your advertising to appear next to, but you can't insist on censorship of the entire platform. And if you insist on censorship of the entire platform, even where your advertising doesn't appear, then obviously we will not want them as an advertiser.
So what would you say to advertisers who have left the platform or who are considering coming back or not coming back? What would you like to say to them?
Well, first of all, almost all of our advertisers are coming back to the platform. So it's a very short list of advertisers who are not coming back to the platform. And our advertising revenue is rising rapidly. And our subscription revenue is rising rapidly. And I feel very optimistic about the future of the X platform.
Okay. Listen, I'm not meaning to offend you. You're an intense person. Where does that intensity come from?
I was born that way. And I had a tough childhood.
You did?
So, yeah.
How so?
Right, Walter Isaacson goes into it in the book, and we only have a couple minutes left, so
All right.
too long to describe. So there are 1 or 2 questions I can do, and then we'll have to call it.
Okay. Again, I don't mean to upset you. Why are you just...
No, I have a whole room full of people waiting to meet with me.
Okay.
So we're just going over time.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure by now that you have seen a clip or maybe 2 of my conversation with Elon Musk. Back then, as the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX and the owner of one of the most powerful social media sites in the world, he told me that he didn't want to put his thumb on the scale by endorsing and contributing to presidential candidates. Well, that all changed. And now Elon Musk is considered by some, especially the Democrats, to be the shadow president. And with that, our conversation really takes on a whole new gravity because by the end of 2024, the presidential election, Musk went all in on Trump, even appearing at Trump's rallies and literally cheerleading for the then former president. Quite the year for Elon Musk, who helped Trump win over a big portion of the students on college campuses.
April 30th, 2024. Protesters condemning the war in Gaza had barricaded themselves in a building at Columbia University. They demanded the school sever ties with Israel.
Protesters say on social media, if Columbia tries to remove them by force, the school will, quote, have blood on its hands.
Less than 24 hours later, Columbia University called in the police.
It looks like a military-grade vehicle that is coming down Amsterdam right now with protesters on each side. So
okay, we see an officer approaching a window right now.
You know, it's wow.
The first officer has entered the window. People are screaming on the street in response.
I am now seeing the NYPD, dozens going in through the gate as well.
The clashes at Columbia that night were the culmination of months of chaos sweeping across American college campuses. Ignited by a war on the other side of the world.
It might feel like a lifetime ago, but the college protests that captivated, inspired, and enraged Americans all occurred this year. Ultimately, more than 3,000 demonstrators were arrested at campus demonstrations. And you may recall that the whole episode saw more than a few college presidents lose their jobs, including, remember Columbia President Manu Shafiq? At the time, I remember speaking to many of my friends, some young, some of them old, some Jewish, some Muslim, some conservative, and some progressive. And it could seem that no one looked at the protests the same way, okay? Well, some thought that they were a powerful exercise of freedom of speech, resurrecting America's proud tradition of civil disobedience. And then others thought that they were anti-Semitic and hateful. To this day, I still don't think that we have bridged the gap between those groups. But now, on to the topic of bridges.
That breaking news that you started with, Matt, overnight in Baltimore, Maryland, a portion of the Francis Scott Key Bridge has collapsed. You see what happened down into the harbor. That large boat collided with the bridge around 1:30 this morning. That just sent the span rippling down into those freezing waters below. Authorities are trying to rescue at least 7 people who were doing overnight work on the bridge. They're believed to have been tossed into the waves. Fire crews say several vehicles hit the water, including one the size of a tractor trailer. Hoping people were able to get out of their vehicles when they got into the water. Divers have been dispatched into the water for what is now being called a dire mass casualty incident.
I don't know about you, but that collapse felt like a gut punch when I first watched it. Following months of investigation, we now know the cargo ship that hit Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge had a pair of catastrophic electrical failures minutes before the crash, and it had experienced 2 blackouts a day earlier. The episode spawned weeks of conversation about America's crumbling infrastructure, especially in urban areas. It also brought racists out of the woodwork. Folks who claim Baltimore's black, quote, DEI hire mayor was responsible for the crash. The disaster ultimately killed 6 construction workers on the bridge, and sadly, it still has not been repaired. And we likely won't see it repaired anytime soon. Another thing that we likely won't see soon. Anything like the utterly remarkable political comeback of one Donald J. Trump.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
Donald Trump was found guilty of felony charges for his role in covering up a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels.
America responding to the chilling images of a moment in U.S. history now seen around the world.
This was a game-changing debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists, it involves elected officials, it involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it.
We are coming on the air at this hour with breaking news. President Biden has just announced that he is ending his re-election bid. Just moments ago, the president tweeted out, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term."
As an American, it is hard to feel like there was a single story this year bigger and more consequential than Donald Trump's path back to the White House. It was a shameless campaign, one that engaged in vile, racist conspiracy mongering. But whether we like it or not, it worked. As I look back on Trump's year, I am filled with what ifs. What if prosecutors had never charged Trump? What if he didn't win the GOP primary because he couldn't claim to be a victim of quote unquote lawfare? What if Trump had never been shot? What if Biden had dropped out earlier? What if Biden never dropped out at all? We'll never know. But they're endlessly fascinating questions, aren't they? Another fascinating question. Why did Luigi Mangione do it?
It is now day 5 of the hunt for the gunman who killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City.
NYPD releasing new photos of the suspect this weekend in hopes of someone recognizing him.
It's a story that gripped America for weeks in the final months of 2024. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a father of 2, gunned down in broad daylight right in the center of New York City. Now, as we learned more, we were left with even more questions. Who shot him? Why? How did the shooter get away? When police finally caught Luigi Mangione many days later, the nation split on whether the man and his alleged actions were heroic or evil. Some 41% of young people said that the murder of Brian Thompson was acceptable. That's according to one poll. The internet was mesmerized by Mangione, his manifesto, his life story, and yes, his six-pack abs. It was a uniquely American mess of a story. What stories captured you the most this year? What did we leave out? Tell me in the comments. We are thrilled to have you as one of our watchers, so thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button as well, and that way you can be notified about all of our new content. There's plenty of it for you. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop more videos at 2 p.m. Eastern and at 5 p.m. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon Nation, of the Lemon community. Members receive access to special community posts, exclusive content, and live shows. So just head right over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.